Can love survive despair? An unbelievable story. What if love took you to both ecstasy and despair at the same time? Subscribe to discover this heartwarming story. Laura and Miguel met in Paris, beneath the Eiffel Tower, with lights shining in the Seine reflecting their smiles. They danced through the night, dreaming of a future together, full of hope and passion. But life had other plans to test their love. One phone call changed everything. Miguel had suffered a severe accident and fell into a coma. Laura, devastated, wept beside him, feeling the emptiness grow. Would their love survive this pain? Subscribe to find out what happens next. Now I ask you, what do you think happened? Leave a like and keep watching. When all seemed lost, Laura held Miguel's hand and whispered, "I love you." At that moment, he opened his eyes, as if love had brought him back. They learned that love is stronger than despair. Today, they dance again, more united than ever. The lesson: love takes us to the highest peaks and the deepest lows, but it always saves us. This story is inspired by Pablo Neruda's quote, "To love is to be taken to the peak of ecstasy and the depths of despair." Subscribe, like, comment, share, and donate for more stories. I thank you from the heart. Can love overcome distance? Clara and Leo will touch your heart. Clara and Leo faced a heartbreaking day at Amsterdam Central Station, with trains whistling and the icy winter air surrounding them. Clara, about to leave for a new job, felt the weight of leaving Leo behind, as he battled a rare illness. What would you do? Subscribe to hear this story. With teary eyes, Leo held Clara's hand and whispered, "I don't want to hold you back from living." The train whistled, and Clara hesitated, tears streaming down her face. Could love survive the distance? Subscribe to find out what happens next. Clara stepped off the train and ran to Leo, saying, "You are my home." Months later, Leo recovered, and they built a life together. Love won. The lesson: true love always finds a way. Like, comment, and share for more heartwarming stories. This story is inspired by Paulo Coelho's quote, "When you love, you don't need to understand what's happening outside, because everything starts happening inside of us." It reminds us that love guides us, even through the toughest choices. Feels real, doesn't it? Thank you from the heart. You inspire me. Donate through the link below to support more stories and share this emotion. She loved as if standing at the edge of a cliff. But what he did will break and heal you at the same time. Based on the quote, "Love is like a delicate flower, but you have to have the courage to pick it at the edge of a cliff." Stendhal. What if you found true love? Just when you were about to give up on everything. Imagine this: you're at rock bottom, no strength left, and right there, someone appears who makes you believe again. But what if this love came with an impossible choice? Subscribe now and get ready for a story that will shatter your heart, and then stitch every piece back with hope. It was supposed to be just another day at the hospital. Clara, 26, a newly graduated oncologist, was caring for terminal patients. But that shift, Miguel walked in, 29, a writer, diagnosed with late-stage cancer. His eyes held the glow of someone who had lost everything, except courage. In the days that followed, between doses of morphine and poems scribbled on napkins, something impossible happened. Love. A love that was light, honest, and painfully real. But time, that silent villain, is never merciful. The test results got worse. Miguel had 2 months to live. Clara cried in secret. And he asked her to leave, so she wouldn't watch him die. She hesitated. Fought. But sometimes love takes more courage to stay than to walk away. Like and subscribe. Because what happened next will make you believe in the impossible. Clara disappeared. For weeks, no one knew where she was. But she returned days before the end, with an envelope in hand. Inside was a manuscript. Love at the Edge of the Cliff. Miguel's book. Edited, illustrated, published. She had turned her pain into eternity. And in his final moments, he picked his flower at the edge of the cliff, smiling. Miguel is gone. But his story lives on. Because true love doesn't die. It blooms in the most unlikely acts of courage. Love is like a delicate flower, but you have to have the courage to pick it at the edge of a cliff. If this story touched you, subscribe, like, comment, share, and support us through the link below to help inspire more hearts with real love stories. And if you have an impossible love story, maybe all it needs is the courage to bloom. She lost her memory in the accident. But what he did next will break your heart. A love story you won't believe. Imagine loving someone so deeply, and suddenly, that person looks into your eyes and asks, "Who are you?" What if true love isn't about being remembered, but about never forgetting? Before you hear this unbelievable story, subscribe to the channel now, because you're about to feel something you may have never felt before. Clara and Miguel were about to get married. After years of struggling together, saving every penny, and facing life's hardships, they had finally made it to the most awaited day, the wedding rehearsal. But that same day everything changed. A reckless driver, pouring rain, and a crash that erased everything from Clara's memory, including the love of her life. She woke up in the hospital with his tearful face beside her. But she didn't recognize him. Miguel. To her, He was just a stranger. The doctors said her memory might come back, or it might not. The pain he felt was as if she had died. Yet she was still there. Alive, but empty of him. She asked for space. Said she needed to start over. Alone. And he let her. Because sometimes love means letting go. Miguel never gave up. He came back weeks later. As a volunteer at the rehab clinic where she was recovering. He didn't say who he was. He just made her laugh. Told her stories about someone else. That were really about her. And little by little, she fell in love again. With him. Without knowing he had once been her everything. Because, as Lao Tzu said, to love is not to possess the other to complete yourself, but to give yourself to complete the other. Miguel didn't expect to be loved in return. He just wanted to see her smile again. And when she finally remembered, it was as if that love had never left her soul. If this story touched your heart, comment below, leave a like, and share it with someone you love. Subscribe now and support us with your donation to bring more stories like this to life. And if you have an incredible story of your own, tell us. It might just inspire the world. He was tired of everything. Until love made him smile again, a true story of overcoming. What if love was your last strength when everything else had fallen apart? What if, in your weakest moment, someone showed up and simply made you smile? Get ready, because this story will touch your heart. Subscribe to the channel now to discover the power of true love, and prepare to be moved. Lucas was only 19 years old, with a heart full of dreams. He was studying photography, loved capturing genuine smiles, and believed every picture carried a story. It was on a golden morning on a busy city street that he met Helena, a girl with a gentle gaze and an inexplicable energy. She stood there holding an old camera, taking pictures of strangers and spreading kindness like someone tossing flowers into the wind. He approached shyly, and she smiled. From that moment on, they began writing a new story together. 4 months, they lived as if the world was made just for them. But life sometimes tests us in cruel ways. A motorcycle accident took away Lucas's ability to walk, and with it, his hope. He shut down, pulled away from everything, even from her. You deserve someone whole, he'd say. But Helena didn't give up. She came back every day, sat beside him in silence, holding old photos and offering an unwavering smile. Until one rainy night, she arrived with a box full of memories. He cried. And even though he was tired, he smiled. It was then that Lucas understood. Love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Paulo Coelho. That phrase became a living truth before him. Her love didn't heal him physically, but it gave meaning to his pain and turned his darkness into light. He began again. He returned to photography, now from a new angle. The angle of resilience and soul. And today, if you ask him what saved him, he doesn't hesitate. It was love. That kind of love that doesn't give up, that stays when everything else falls apart. A love that asks for nothing and simply makes you smile. What did you think of this story? Comment below, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to believe in love again. Subscribe now and support stories that touch the soul. Because sometimes, a simple smile is the beginning of everything. Make your donation through the link below. And if you have a motivational story, share it in the comments. Endless gratitude. He lost her to the pain. But what she did after will break your heart. And heal it too. What if love wasn't just a feeling, but resistance? What if, in the midst of loss, someone discovered that to love isn't to never leave, but to always return? This story will show you that true love survives even where hope ends. Subscribe now, because this will touch your heart. Lucas and Mariana met on an ordinary day, but recognized each other like they had been waiting a lifetime. He, full of plans, collected dreams on post-its stuck to the wall. She, a street photographer, captured moments like she could freeze time. They laughed at silly things, cooked leftover dinners, and made up songs while washing dishes. It wasn't a movie love, but it was theirs. Real, simple, intense. But their world collapsed when Lucas received the diagnosis. An aggressive cancer that grew without permission. He tried to be strong, but slowly faded. Mariana, tireless, held his hand through the worst of days. Until one day, exhausted, he asked her to leave. Said he didn't want to be remembered that way, broken. Said she deserved to live. With a shattered heart, she respected his wish. And left, crying in silence. Subscribe now to discover what happened next. Leave a like if this already touched you somehow. Months passed. Lucas, alone, faced sessions, pain, and silence. Until one day, he received a box in the mail. Inside, hundreds of photos. Him in happy moments, laughing, writing, sleeping. And a letter. You're still my everything. And if one day you want to come back, I'll be here. I love you for who you are. Not for what's left. That gesture got him out of bed. Not to heal the body but the soul. He started writing again, brought back the post-its, and met Mariana at the same cafe where it all began. They cried. They laughed. And they moved forward, together. Because true love doesn't ask you to be strong, just to feel. As Voltaire once said, love is the most powerful of passions, because it attacks simultaneously the head, the heart, and the senses. Lucas learned that to love is to endure. Mariana that to love is to stay. And we, that real love can survive even when hope is gone. What did you think of this story? Leave a comment, hit like, and share it so more people can feel this emotion. Subscribe now and support us with a donation to help us keep telling stories that touch the soul. Do you have a love or healing story to share? Tell us. It might just change lives. He only wanted to be admired. But what happened broke her heart. A love story that transforms souls. What if loving someone was more than just words? What if it meant seeing the soul behind the pain? Imagine losing everything, even your own identity, and still discovering that true love never left your side. This is a real, intense, and life-changing story. Subscribe now to find out what true love can truly heal. And get ready to be deeply moved. Lucas and Helena met in a small, cozy coffee shop. He wrote poems. She captured smiles with her camera. In her eyes, Lucas felt seen. And in his verses, she felt alive. It was as if two wounded souls had found each other to remember what hope feels like. Together, they laughed for no reason, made silly plans, and dreamed big. But then, Lucas stopped writing. Drowning in depression after his father's death, he sank into a silence that not even Helena's love could break through. She tried, but he pushed her further away each day, convinced he wasn't worthy of being admired. Could love survive that much pain? Subscribe now, because what happened next will touch your heart deeply. On a rainy night, Helena left a note by the bed. To love is to admire with the heart. To admire is to love with the spirit. Théophile Gautier. Lucas cried like never before. For the first time, he realized that being admired wasn't about perfection, but about being seen, even in pain. He started writing again, this time, about new beginnings. Today, Lucas and Helena share poetry and portraits in a project that helps young people battling depression. They discovered that love doesn't ask for masks, it embraces, even when everything seems dark. Because love is about seeing deeper. It's about admiring with the heart, as Gautier once said. And when the spirit is involved, no silence lasts forever. What did you think of this story? Comment below like, and share to touch more hearts. Subscribe now and support us with your donations so we can keep sharing stories that heal the soul. Got a story? Share it in the comments. It might inspire the world. The love that turned into tears. A real and shocking story. Have you ever loved someone so much that you felt like you were in heaven, only to be thrown into hell the next moment? What if the most intense love of your life became your greatest pain? Subscribe now to discover this unbelievable story. João and Clara had a love that felt straight out of a movie. From the very first glance, their hearts beat in perfect harmony. They laughed together, cried together, and dreamed together. But fate loves to play with feelings. On the day João planned to propose, Clara received devastating news. A rare and incurable disease. Their world crumbled. He promised to stay by her side, but fear, anguish, and pain began to corrode what once felt perfect. When everything seemed lost, Clara made a heartbreaking decision: to leave without saying goodbye. João woke up to find only a letter. "I'd rather you remember me smiling than watch me fade away." Subscribe and leave a like to find out what happened next. João never saw her again, but he learned that loving means accepting even the hardest goodbyes. He used his pain to help others and turned his suffering into inspiration. Now I ask you, what do you think happened? Leave a like and keep watching. And you? What would you do in his place? Comment, like, and share this inspiring story. Support more stories like this and donate through the link below. Together, we can change lives. Can love overcome loss? A story that will touch your heart. What if love could heal even the greatest loss? Subscribe to discover this heartwarming story that will make you cry. Mariana and Lucas met on Ipanema Beach, with the golden sun reflecting off the sea. They walked hand in hand, dreaming of a future together, full of hope and love, while the waves sang their happiness. But tragedy changed everything. Mariana lost her sight in an accident, and Lucas, devastated, heard her say, "You deserve someone better." Would their love survive? Subscribe to find out what happened. Leave a like and keep watching. With tears in his eyes, Lucas chose to stay. He described the sunset to Mariana, and together they created a podcast about overcoming challenges, turning pain into inspiration for others. Their love grew even stronger. Today, they inspire millions with their voices. The lesson: love guides us through the darkness. This story is inspired by Victor Hugo's quote, "Love has no age, it is always being born." Subscribe, like, comment, share, and donate at the link below for more heartwarming stories. Thank you from the heart. Do you have an incredible story? Share it with us.